Marauders number 17 is an impressive exercise in moving the ball downfield, pushing forward on Reign of X plots for virtually every series regular, including Emma Frost, Kate Pryde, Storm, and Callisto, as well as the likes of Jumbo Carnation and some smaller characters, no pun intended, in Marauders. Today I'll answer, what are the new rules of Krakoa's Crucible? What are Emma's plans for a human and mutant Gala on her private island? Theories and predictions for things to come, not only in the pages of Marauders, but in X-Men Reign of X. We got one of the big teaser images for the Reign of X getting referenced here throughout Marauders, so we'll talk about that as well. Hey everybody, I'm Dave Busing, founder and editor-in-chief of Comic Book Herald. You're listening to Krakin Krakoa number 143. If you like the Comic Book Herald YouTube channel or Krakin Krakoa, please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing. Spoilers for Discuss Comics follow, and hey, as you're listening, I definitely want to hear your comments here on the video below. Writer Gerry Duggan, artist Matteo Lolli, colors by Edgar Delgado, letters by Cory Petit. Callisto opens the issue climbing to a top of a mountain here on Krakoa to speak with Storm and asking her essentially to be her date to the Crucible. Callisto is in fact like half depowered, mostly depowered per decimation and the effects thereof in the mid-2000s, and she comes to Storm saying, I want to be made whole, I want my mutant abilities back, and now the Crucible is open because Apocalypse is gone, right? Apocalypse ran the Crucible as we saw in X-Men number 7, but that character, of course, is gone in Amenth at the end of 10 of Swords. So now there's sort of an opening. I had some questions about, okay, what is the Crucible actually going to be? And as we learn here, Callisto basically says, I get to pick who I want to bring to the dance, as she calls it. So she picks Storm, someone who has a deep long-running history with this character, which is one of the things that I frankly love about the Krakoa era of X-Men. You know, the fact that we have these call-outs and these references to long-running character relationships. Now, in Callisto's introductory story, which runs through like Uncanny X-Men, I think it's 169, probably through 171. It's by Chris Claremont and Paul Smith. Callisto is a Morlock. She attempts to kidnap Warren Worthington to marry him in the tunnels. She sets him up in lots of really fun bondage gear, and a bunch of the other X-Men come down, and of course the Morlocks are presented primarily like as sort of villains, right? Callisto definitely begins as a villain, and Storm, to prevent all this and kind of like get the X-Men safe again, she has to go in a knife fight with Callisto, okay? That's how we say it here among people who clearly do knife fights regularly. She has to go do a knife fight. And but she engages in this battle for leadership of the Morlocks with Callisto, okay? So there's this memory of this. Now when we go back to the battle in Marauders number 17 in the Crucible, we learn first that Silver Samurai is like kind of like running the event, right? Like he's like overseeing, which is a great fit. It would also seem that Fenris, the world's worst, and maybe Mask, who is also a longtime enemy of Callisto, volunteered to kill Callisto in the Crucible, but Storm shows up, right? Storm is hesitant at first, but she does show, and Storm one-punches Callisto to death, okay? Look out Batman vs. Guy Gardner or One Punch Man, Storm's coming for you. She takes her out with a thunder punch to the heart, and it's reminiscent of Storm and Callisto's first knife fight in its way. You know, as I was referencing, like, Callisto thinks she has the upper hand in their first meeting, but Storm is kind of like this master of all trades, and she takes out Callisto, you know, fairly effectively, fairly easily. Nightcrawler, prior to this fight, says like Storm doesn't stand a chance because she will never take a life. She will never do basically the dirty deed that needs to be done. And it's a real turning point in X-Men because you realize like Storm's code is not Boy Scout Cyclops, or at least the way it would have been viewed at the time, you know? Like Storm will do what needs to be done and take care of things. And she does so here for now kind of a friend, or a frenemy, I suppose, Callisto, right? So Callisto, through this kind of, you know, the tragic end of a Crucible, she is restored and repowered, and then it becomes very joyous, right? And she is whole again on Krakoa. I think it's easy to sort of overlook the power and importance of Crucible in X-Men, but it's still this massively meaningful ritual of Krakoan life. You know, when resurrection is so easy for these mutants who were depowered and who live with that, it's still this huge thing to be able to like become the mutants that they once were, right? And of course, this is the process that the X-Men and mutants in Krakoa have established. I do think it's also interesting, like, these comics they just like go out of their way to make sure we're reminded Scarlet Witch is to blame, you know? And this does it very deliberately, just like, hey, that decimation, Scarlet Witch is to blame. I just find this so compelling, especially I'm recording this the week this came out, which is January 13th. WandaVision comes out in 2 days, first episode on Disney+. And, you know, you got this character that is a huge part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, who is a huge part of kind of Avengers lore, and just like the absolute like disdain for her as the Great Pretender of Krakoa. It continues to be one of the most fascinating threads for me. You know, those actions at the end of House of M saying no more mutants, leading to the decimation of like 1 million mutants losing their abilities. You know, it's just this thing that will constantly linger, and I don't even know what resolution would be, because and this isn't a Scarlet Witch video, but like there have been so many attempts at resolution. There have been so many attempts at saying, actually Quicksilver's to blame, or actually it was Doctor Doom. None of that has stuck, right? None of that landed, and it's still on Scarlet Witch. How do you get past that? I don't know. That's a topic for another video. So elsewhere in Marauders 17, Emma is showing off her new island. The Gala that she is planning on putting on here in this new fancy Sentinel Tower is in full swing, right? She is sending out invitations, and as Emma schemes to bring all sorts of very powerful people to her own intermediary island, not officially connected to Krakoa in any capacity, right? Now she's kind of just like showing off, right? She's got Sebastian in the wheelchair carting him around. She brings Bishop, she brings in Shinobi Shaw, brings in Jumbo Carnation, you know, and just basically was like, hey, here's the island, we're doing this, we're gonna bring all these powerful people to this place for, again, what is a still very mysterious Hellfire Gala. And this is the thing that we saw teased in the Reign of X promo image. It was Emma with these invitations basically saying, hey, come to the Hellfire Gala. Nobody knows quite what I have in store, but it's going down, okay? And I will point out too that, so this tower and exists on Emma's private island. This is a real place apparently, and I'm probably gonna butcher this pronunciation, but it's Mykenys Island, which as it turns out is a very real place. I even looked it up on Google Maps. You can find it right there. It's in between Iceland and like the UK. So well, you know, maybe we can all meet on Mykenys Island for the Hellfire Gala when that comes out, whenever travel restrictions are, of course, lifted. But I would also call out, too, like, remember the Sentinel Tower connects to giant-size Magneto, okay, which was the Hickman-written issue where Emma Frost asks him for a favor, the favor being, hey, build me my cool Sentinel Tower on this island that Namor used to own and go on a little adventure with him. So Magneto did work to get this island ready for Emma Frost. Also, huge credit here to Duggan and team for remembering to bring back Emma's incredible personal sassy chef, Saucier, my new favorite mutant, who was also in that giant-sized Magneto issue. If you haven't read that, I would say, like, you probably don't need to go back to understand what's going on in Marauders number 17. Basically, she got an island. You got the gist of it, but, you know, that's where it all comes from. So, okay. We see X-Desk too referenced in a memo to the upcoming Hellfire Gala. Again, like this word is spreading far and wide. It's getting out to all sorts of intelligence agencies, and very intentionally so, right? The guest list, as we're told here by good old Dolores, it includes ambassadors, heads of state, metahuman associates, basically all people of power, right? So we're seeing that Emma's planning to invite, like, you know, not only intelligence agencies and like political connections, but, you know, when it says metahuman associates, like, I'm assuming Avengers, I'm assuming Fantastic Four, you know, the whole 9 yards, right? So Dolores mentions that there's likely going to be the introduction of a new team of X-Men, which of course stems from X-Men number 16. Now, we have not actually seen who's going to be on that team, so this could be like the announcement event. But then also, like, what else is Emma planning, right? Like, you've got all these very powerful people. As Dolores mentions, like, this would be a great time for mutants to, like, you know, take them all out and establish control of the world. Although I don't expect that's actually what she's plotting here. But again, you've got this insanely powerful telepath and all these people gathered. If I'm visiting and I'm not a mutant, yeah, I'd probably take some security precautions here. maybe bring a psychic with you, something for a little protection. So elsewhere in the issue, we do get a little story with Kate Pryde coming back to Madripoor in Lowtown to the family that saved Lockjaw, obviously to express thanks, but then also kind of figuring out, like, okay, what is Hominis Verendi doing as this new government of Madripoor, and kind of how can we fight that, right? So they're going to take the fight to Hominis Verendi as they should, and basically figure out, like, kind of, it looks like, you know, sort of a battle for Madripoor with Krakoan government very openly, and Krakoan money very openly saying, like, yeah, we're gonna stand up against you here. Kate does hand off the invitation to Hominis Verendi in person in Madripoor, so, like, Emma's not pulling punches here. I mean, Hominis Verendi is clearly an enemy alliance against mutant kind and against the likes of the Hellfire Club and all of Emma's interests, but she's inviting them nonetheless to the Hellfire Gala. And again, it's not just so they can try, you know, our guys' food, right? Like, there's something more here that Emma is planning. I'm very curious to see what that might be. All in all, I think Marauders, it's definitely Gerry Duggan's best series. For my money, it's my favorite Marvel series he's written. It's quite good. I really like Matteo Lolli's art on this, although I will say, the new styling for Emma Frost, and this might just be a fashion thing, the fact she's not wearing the Hellfire Queen stuff all the time, I'm often confused. I thought this issue started with magic. I thought it was Ileana, and then for a few seconds, I was like, is this step for Cuckoo? It's no, it's Emma. But nonetheless, this is the best series that they're doing. It continues to be very interesting, if not quite the explosive highs of, say, an X-Men or Sword or Hellions, which continues to be just the absolute funniest book in the line, right? So the Krakoa for the next issue reads Healing. This could mean a lot of things, obviously. One thought that popped in my head is Sebastian Shaw, having undergone, he lost an eye. He was beat to heck. He's poisoned and in a wheelchair now. Could use some healing. Don't think it'd be the worst thing if he got healed up a little bit. I'm curious if they might actually address that, but it could also be something to do with relationships. Maybe the Hellfire Gala is about healing relationships, although based on the cover from Marauders number 18 with Iceman and Pyro, I kind of doubt we're going to get there just yet. So let me know your theories, your comments, your thoughts on this issue, on where things are going. What do you think is going to happen at the Hellfire Gala, right? This is a big event that Emma is throwing. I'm curious to hear what people think is going to happen there. Thanks to everybody who supports Comic Book Herald over on patreon.com/Comic Book Herald. For as little as $1 a month, you can get all these X-Men reviews in podcast form via an exclusive feed over there, as well as some other cool bonuses for various tiers, such as the Mysterious Benefactors tier, where you get your name called out here on all of the videos. I'm Dave. You can see my stuff at comicbookherald.com. You can find me online on social at Comic Book Herald. Look for the best comics ever in My Marvelous Year podcast for more from me. Thanks everybody for listening, and as always, enjoy the comics.